Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, this is Dr. Keith McNally, and this is the Question Guy podcast, season 2, of course, and I love saying that. And I am here with Stephanie Bonte-Lebair. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
I appreciate that so much. And so we've had a couple of conversations, and those conversations have been really awesome. And I wanted to spend this conversation, getting to know a bit more about your thing. You got a thing going on. It's a networking thing, but it's not just a networking group. It's a networking mastermind
Yeah.
group.
Mhm.
And so you are a master networker is is what I'm getting out of that. And we're going to get to that in just a bit. But I want to give the audience, our audience today, a little bit of background about that's not everything they're seeing on our profiles. Now, when we're here on Zoom, and you could obviously see my name, Keith McNally, but then we see your name as Stephanie, and then there's A.N.K, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I know that when our first conversation, you invited me to fill out this form or these questions online. And when we had the conversation, I kind of cheated. And I cheated on purpose. I didn't cheat it to be rude by any means, but I cheated because I only wanted to have the conversation with you because that's what I do. I have conversations with people all over the world. But you intuitively, after talking with me, kind of knew about me. And through our conversation, you learned a bit more about me and how I would stack up with those letters. So
Yeah.
let's start the conversation with those letters. What is that all about?
Yeah. So this is a personality assessment that's based in personality science that is specifically designed to predict yes behavior or buying behavior. So a lot of assessments out there have lots of different intentions behind it, but this was designed for sales conversations and for creating influence in conversations. So I am a communicator, I'm a networker, I'm a performer. I'm all about how do you use your voice powerfully in the world? How do you communicate powerfully in the world to create whatever it is you desire in your life? So I'm a classically trained singer, turned voice teacher, turned business speaking coach, turned networking facilitator. So that's kind of my quick background. And this tool, which is called B.A.N.K, which is an acronym that stands for the 4 personality types, is one of the tools on my tool belt that I use to help identify people and to create connection with them, to have those influential conversations, whether it's a networking conversation or related to the product or service that you may be selling in your business. So my personality code, which is called a B.A.N.K code,
Okay.
is ANKB, which means I'm an action personality type first, nurturing second, knowledge third, blueprint fourth. And this code is great for you to know because if you understand what those basic 4 personality types are, the first 2 in my code are my triggers to a yes. So if you speak action nurturing language to me, you're very influential with me. I will agree with you. I will want to learn more about you. We will have a fantastic conversation together. Whereas if you lead with the knowledge and the blueprint part of my code, those are actually tripwires for a no for me
Wow.
in an influential conversation, in something where we're trying to create connection. We're trying to, maybe you want me to take an action of some kind, whether that's booking me on this show or something else, right? So
Well,
if
I'm
you're
thankful
too,
that you came
yeah,
on my show.
yeah, yeah. Well, you have very high nurturing in your personality. So that is where we connected, is we
And,
both have
and,
high
and
nurture.
I think when after we talked and you kind of got to know me a bit better, you very much, because I'm a doctor and I'm a professor, a college
Hmm.
professor,
Yeah.
you know that there's knowledge in there
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah. You're very high knowledge. Yes.
And the other part of me, the forefront of me is the nurturer, the
Yeah.
caretaker. And so maybe action would probably be on the very
Yeah. Your
tail end.
action lasts. So
Yeah.
I believe your code is knowledge nurture. Your knowledge first, nurturing second, blueprint third, action fourth. That would be
That would
my
make a real good guess. Yeah,
my
even if
guess for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yes. And so knowledge nurturing is so knowledge is how you show up in the world. So for example, you look at the toys you have on the back wall behind you. That's a very knowledge way to decorate your wall. And then nurturing is how
Well,
you
these are
communicate.
purposeful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're strategic as a knowledge type for
Okay.
sure. The
Okay.
big picture, like the
Yeah.
big picture is one of your core values as a knowledge type,
Yeah.
but it's a sign for me. Like I see that and I already know your knowledge first. Like I didn't
Okay.
even have to have you take the assessment. I was like, I'm talking to a knowledge type and you're nurturing second because that's how you communicate. You communicate with very nurturing language. So that those are your triggers to a yes. And then your blueprint action would be tripwires to a no for you. So if I was trying to convince you of something and I was too structured, too rule driven, or I was too flashy, too high over the top energy, too like, look at how awesome I am energy, you would be like, absolutely not. You'd be turned off and we would not be able to move forward. So this code is so important for especially the networking conversation, which is where I use it. I use
Mhm.
it for my networking mastermind. So everybody who comes to visit, everybody who's there has the opportunity to take that assessment and put their code on their video so that when we're all in those little breakout rooms and we're connecting and hearing each other introduce themselves, it's another data point to be able to say that's what his or her code is. And it helps you with any kind of follow-up that you might do with that person so that you know what not to say as well as what to say if you understand those basic four types.
So now I'm intrigued. Now I want
Yeah.
to know. Now I want to know. I want to know more about that that training. I mean, how did you
Yeah.
become?
Yeah. So I'm a licensed and certified trainer in B.A.N.K, and I have
Is that what
been
it's
with
called? Bank?
B.A.N.K is the name of the methodology.
Okay.
And the company is called Codebreaker Technologies. So Codebreaker
Okay.
Technologies, they I've been with that company since 2015, I believe it has been. So like 7, 8 years now. And I became a licensed and certified trainer, which allows me to not only just introduce the method to people, but to go in and train teams or individuals. So I've done
Mhm.
both. So I've gone into sales teams, or I've done like financial services teams, real estate teams, hospitality teams, and then the entrepreneurs. So I have a lot of entrepreneurs in my network. So I've taught entrepreneurs this methodology so that they can use it and incorporate it into their business to be able to find more prospects and
Mhm.
close sales faster.
Does
So
somebody does somebody who just has a really good understanding of those four, and what would you call
yeah.
them? What are
So
they?
they're personality types. There's four
Personality
personality
types.
types. There's blueprint for B. If it's
Right.
B.A.N.K is an acronym, right? So it's
Right.
blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge.
Because I spend a lot of time doing this.
Hmm.
I spend
Yeah.
time connecting with people, not necessarily in a networking group, but just reaching out through LinkedIn and inviting them to the show and really wanting to build that relationship. And that's kind of one of the points of these conversations, even though
Hmm.
they're recorded and they go on a podcast and all that bigger and brighter stuff. I've got toys behind me. And I quite literally have got Lego toys behind me,
Yeah.
and I do use that strategically. But I think for me to kind of get a better appreciation for my guests, and this is not for today's conversation, but I wouldn't mind getting to know more about code breaker technologies. I think that would be important
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
as,
Well,
as a podcast host.
the first step is to take your assessment officially. So
Yes, ma'am.
I can give you the link for that.
I will
So
definitely do it this
you
time.
can go take it officially because what'll happen is you'll get a report and
Okay.
it'll tell you all about yourself. So it'll say, yes, this is your code. You're a KNBA, most likely.
Mhm.
And here's what it means. So that would be a great first step. And then we have tools and technology, including artificial intelligence, that we use to help people with communication. And we have live training, recorded and live training. So you can either do self-study version or you can do live training with a certified trainer like myself. So that's, essentially the path to kind of increase your skill set with this particular language. And I really position this as a language. So if you think of every personality type as its own language,
Mhm.
you are probably really great at speaking knowledge and nurturing. Like those two languages for you are probably really strong.
I think I speak I communicate through a nurturing presence,
Yeah.
and I very much
Yeah.
understand that about me. With the whole scholarship, I want to dive deep and
Yes,
understand
that's your
and
knowledge.
think.
Your knowledge wants to master things, not
It
just sort
does.
of know something, but really, really deeply know it.
And I get really frustrated when I don't.
Yeah, yeah. So that's that drive you have then would be to then master probably that blueprint action language is probably a little less of a skill set for you. Like you
Right.
would want to work on those to be able to even out your ability to be flexible in conversations with people who are not your personality type. And you probably are really intuitive in the fact of, in the sense of, you could probably identify somebody's primary when you're having a conversation. A lot of people can. A lot of people who are great at networking, who are great at sales, even can identify someone's primary personality type. They might not call it blueprint action, nurturing, or knowledge, but those personality types are used in so many different assessments. They just have different names. So our research says that if you can identify someone's primary personality type, you actually increase your ability to be influential by 22%.
Wow. And that was something I would, if I'm going to be
Yeah.
an entrepreneur or a coach of any type,
Yeah,
I'm probably going to need to do that.
exactly. And then, but our research says if you know all four, so not just the primary, but all four, you increase your influence by 75%.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It's a big jump. So this is why we have the assessment and why it takes less than 90 seconds to take it. So this is not like an in-depth personality assessment. It was built for the
For
quick
communication.
connection. It
It's
was
built for
built for
communication.
easy communication, right?
Yeah.
So someone can easily take that assessment, and we do it in person with physical cards. I have these plastic cards that I have with me all the time when I am in in-person situations,
Uh-huh.
networking, coffee dates, whatever. And I literally can hand them over and have the person just shuffle them in order from the one that's most important on top to the one that's least important on the bottom. And then I know their code. Or we have the electronic version, which is basically a photo of each of these cards that you assemble in order and hit submit. And
Right.
it's super, super easy to take the assessment, which is on purpose, intentional, because, you know, when you're trying to create a connection with someone, you don't want to have them wait or 20 minutes, 45 minutes until they've done taking a personality
They'll
assessment
probably
before
stop.
you start a conversation. It doesn't
Yeah.
really work that way. So yeah, it's a great tool for just aiding in your ability to have a little extra something in those conversations.
So then let's use that. Now that we've had that conversation, let's
Yeah.
jump into your next step, which is you have created a networking mastermind group,
Yeah.
and that is very specific. That's very intent. I used the word intentional. That's very
Yeah,
intentional
it
because
is.
we there are, and I can name at least two off the top of my head right now, networking groups with the
Yeah.
intention of collaborating and kind of helping other people either build their sales funnels or their business or their connections. But you offer something a step above. Your
Yeah.
mastermind groups are by themselves a step above any of that
Yeah.
because you're doing some of what I like to do, and that's kind of get in and really get to know and dive deep into
Exactly.
a concept, an idea, or whatever the conversation is. And I don't want to monologue a lot. So
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah. So
about this
I think
mastermind.
most people understand what networking groups are, right?
Right,
And they understand the intention of networking is to meet new people so you can build your business faster.
right.
You know, some groups are great at facilitating that conversation in a way that creates that sort of result, and some are maybe less effective in that. What the networking mastermind does is it's even more intentional in not just creating an environment where you can meet new people and you can connect with them, but you can actually identify the specific partnerships that are complementary to what you do and that open up the possibility for you to have more visibility in the marketplace. In other words, cross collaboration techniques, creating something brand new that perhaps didn't exist until you met that person. So potentially JV partnerships of some kind, or even new product bundles. There's so many different ways that being able to mastermind and work intentionally with other people can generate in your business. And so we are a lot more intentional about how to set up those meetings that lead to that level of collaboration and conversations around how that's going to be effective. And we also educate our members as well. So a lot of our members have an expertise in some kind of a marketing tool or a communication tool. We attract a lot of speakers, coaches, marketing professionals. So a lot of those people have skill sets. Now we can also cross-train each other in ways to be able to be more effective in our business.
So I attended you as a guest, I attended one of your networking mastermind groups
Uh-huh.
and spent the whole 90 minutes and was very impressed. Now, earlier you used the word partnership, and I think I remember that being a word used specifically in your mastermind networking group, but it was
Yes.
used in a very, but I forget how it was used.
Yes, we call them empowered partners. So
Okay,
my
there we
group
go.
is called Empowered Business Networking. And so we call it empowered partners. So an empowered partner is someone who specifically is connected to a version of your ideal client. They have a complementary service to you, and they want to be your cheerleader in the marketplace. And those three things are key, because you could know somebody who has a complementary service to you and is connected to your ideal client, but they don't necessarily know, like, or trust you yet. So they don't want to collaborate with you. So when they become your cheerleader and they're like, ooh, I can see how my people would love your people. Let's work together to cross promote each other. That's an empowered partner.
Okay, and I like that, and that's a good word to use. And you did, now that I remember it, that was the iteration, throughout that non-empowered partners. Now, what you just said is also important: know, like, and trust. And
Yeah.
so, three words that are critical in life. And so even in just in life, beyond business, just in life, to know, like, and trust, because that's how relationships are built. How does that, do you, how is that facilitated? How are those three words facilitated
Yeah.
in your, or in your group, in your mastermind?
Yeah. So what we do is we have 3 meetings every month, and every month there's an opportunity to go deeper on the know, like, and trust. So
Okay.
you attended our first week of the month, which is the know week. You have to know that someone exists, right? So we bring in guests in addition to our members to introduce them to new faces. I'm very intentional about the guests that we bring in. I already know that they're complementary services to the people that I already have in the group. And you introduce yourself just like you do at any networking group. You're like, hi, I'm me. This is what I do. This is what I love. And let's set up another call to get to know each other further. Right. So that's no week one.
Right.
Then in week 2 and 3, just my members, no guests this time. So just my
Okay.
members, they get together to develop the like and trust.
Okay.
So we have ways of facilitating those meetings. We have roundtables and masterminds where we are facilitating the meeting in such a way that we're diving deeper with the relationships. We're getting into the nitty gritty of their business. What is it that they really do? What is the transformation they provide? Who is their ideal client and their ideal referral partner? How do they want to be supported in this mastermind? Because some people have intentional goals of how they would like this mastermind to support them going forward. So they have to let us know what those are. So we have a way to facilitate those conversations so that everyone gets a chance to educate each other about those points. And then we move into the masterminding level, which is, okay, now let's break into smaller mastermind groups based on your industry, based on those complementary services that you provide. And let's discover ways that we can cross promote each other. Let's discover ways that we can support each other's businesses beyond just sending a referral. And of course, referrals are the ultimate goal. We want to grow our business. We want to have those consistent referrals. But I find that a lot of groups, there's either a lot of pressure around sharing names with each other, and this like very transactional, like I gave this many names and received this many names. And there's like that quid pro quo kind of energy that it doesn't really work very well. And I facilitated lots of other networking groups before I created my own. So I really paid attention to what worked and what didn't work. And so I'm really focusing not so much on how many referrals did you give or receive, but how can we increase your visibility in the marketplace, because we're a team and we're collaborating together. And as you create visibility, then you're automatically going to start to generate more referrals in your business.
Well, I remember you using the word quality.
Yes.
Even in our first conversation, it was the quality of the relationship over the quantity of the relationships that really have the value and impact. And so you spoke a little bit about that because you dive deeper, but I want to bridge that to the types of mastermind groups because you had different types. I think there was like three or four. Uh,
Yeah, we do have some different areas of masterminding. So I have what one that's called online visibility. And so it's a lot of the marketing people who help people become visible online. So website, SEO, copywriter, graphic designer, those types of people, they belong in that mastermind
Okay.
group, and they can really they're really set up to make great referrals for each other, right? So if you build a website and you have a great graphics designer who's willing to work with you on building the website, and then you've got somebody who's an SEO expert who can help your website get seen, like you don't have to be the jack of all trades. You can actually work with your team members to open up those Rolodexes, that old term.
Oh yeah, that's used in my circle too. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you create more possibility. So that's and then we have one that is
Well, there was
um
one to my liking. It was like intuitive or creative, or I forget what it was called, but it was leaning towards that.
we have an amplify your voice one, which I think maybe you would be attracted to just because you love doing
And
these interviews. So amplify your voice are a lot of the coaches and specific professionals who are helping people be seen and heard. So I have like a podcast coach in there. I have someone who does leadership coaching. I have someone who's helps people publish their book, right? So it's like amplifying your voice in the world. What are all the different tools to help you be seen and heard in the world? So that's one of the groups as well. And then we have one that is health, beauty, and relationships. So this can be the dating coach and the person who's the fashion, helping you dress well, and the organizer for your house, and the photographer who does, virtual photography. Like all those people can work together to create that health, beauty, relationships factor.
and there was but that wasn't it. I saw that one, and again, I do apologize.
Yeah,
I was
no
only in it once.
worries.
It was all good, but the quality, the
Yeah.
quality of the relationships really are what people are after, and I say that because, well, you already know that, but I say that because post COVID, or even through COVID and post COVID, and we like to blame things on COVID these days, but there's a lot of there's actually been a lot of positive that has come out of it that was quite unexpected. And a lot of what I'm doing now with these conversations in this podcast is a result of the initial conversations that I was having, that people were transforming their own lives because
Mhm.
of what COVID gave us. It gave us literally isolation. It gave us time to contemplate. It gave us reason to go internally and think about our own lives because our jobs, school, everything was disrupted.
Mhm.
And because of that, people, for those who I was talking to, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but for those who intentionally had conversations with me, were making intentional pivots, intentional changes,
Yeah.
spiritually, mentally, physically,
Yeah.
financially, and they were doing things that they had never thought about ever doing
Exactly.
prior to that, because they were just on a path.
Yeah.
And even if their path was internally frustrating, they were working it. They were doing what they needed to do to survive. And then life stopped. And I know this isn't about your networking group, but it does, because people want a better quality of life. And from that, they started connecting through Zoom and reaching out and finding people who want it the same. And I think that's what you found.
Yeah,
I think that's what you intentionally go after from just our conversations. You go after those people you know can really bring that quality, that synergy to your group.
right.
Am I close?
Yes, and I would say that the COVID gave us all an opportunity to be innovative,
There's a word. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And to not only look at our lives and say, is this what I really want? And what do I want instead if it's not what I really want? But then to be innovative because of the situation that we were in. Now, ironically for me, I actually started my international virtual group in January of 2020 before the pandemic hit. So I like to say that I must have had some kind of an intuitive hit or God whispered in my ear or something and was like, why don't you do this? Knowing what was
Right.
about to happen, right? And so I was already in a really, really great position with this project when COVID did hit to spend some time in contemplation in 2020, which is what I did. I did a once a month free group for people just to come and support each other through this really hard transition that we were all going through, and was allowed myself to go within and say, in a, faced with what I now know, what do I want from this type of a networking group that I maybe didn't consider in January of 2020,
Mhm.
right? There was another layer to it that I was unpeeling because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
And that really allowed me to set myself up for something different in 2021, where I had this very different, unique model for networking that I launched in 2021. That now here I am at the end of 22, about to hit my 3rd-year anniversary, which I can't even believe it's been that long. Oh my gosh, it feels like a
Congratulations.
blink of an eye. So we're about to hit my 3rd-year anniversary with this group, and it is transformed.
Yeah.
This group has completely transformed from the initial inception, the idea of it in January of 2020 to now. And that is because of everything that's happened in the world and everything that I know to be true about how people want to connect, and they
Mhm.
want to connect in a way that's meaningful and in a way that they feel, can help move them forward in their lives and their business. So, you know, that's really the intention behind the group, is how do we connect differently, and how do we help each other network in a way where we're not chasing every free networking group out there and trying to go to a million different meetings a month to meet as many faces as possible and hope that somebody wants to talk to us about our product or service. But we don't need to do all that
Right.
because we have a team. We have
Mhm.
a really focused team of people supporting us.
So we've been on the call for about 30 minutes or so, and I do appreciate that. But before we kind of, end the conversation, what is, how would you identify the real value of what you do from the perspective of the people that are in your group, that are in your mastermind? How have they communicated that this has been valuable, a valuable investment for them?
Yeah.
Have they I'm sure they have. I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the power that I bring to the table is in how to show up in a way that's captivating and how to communicate what you do in such a way that other people who are meant to work with you want to raise their hand and get to know you better.
Mm,
So I'm not just creating the space for that to potentially happen, but I also feel like I'm facilitating in a way that encourages people to develop their skill sets around that. They develop the skill set of how they show up differently, how they become more captivating, how they create a message and a communication model in their networking, in their marketing as an extension of that, that is refined, that is more in tune with who they really are and what they want to create, their passion for what they want to do in their business, the purpose that they feel they're meant to serve in the world. And so the more confidence you can build around that consistently, because we meet 3 times a month, month to month to month, then it's going to ripple out into every other interaction you have, whether it's another networking group you belong to, or any conversations you're having with your prospects, or other marketing that you're putting together in the world. So I like to think of my group as really the seed that's helping them build out in more powerful ways as, those service-based entrepreneurs that they are.
That was perfect. And it's perfect because it's, you just communicated how they value the time in your group. Stephanie,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this conversation. I now I need to go and know what my
Yeah,
personality
you
type
definitely need to
is.
take it. You need to take it. I'll give you the link.
Well, we could do that in the email, so that would be great. And
Yeah.
so, because to be quite honest, and this is me, not that I'm not honest, but this is me being honest. I think I do pretty well, even though my audience isn't worldwide just yet in the big numbers. But the types of conversations I have are quality conversations, such as what
Mhm.
we just had. But I think I could get better. And to be quite honest, I wrote a LinkedIn article this morning that talked about being better. Um, because a leader who gets better empowers those around them. And that's what I want to do. I want to better
Yeah.
empower those who are around me. Stephanie, thanks again for this conversation. This has been season 2 of the Question Guy podcast. We'll see you next time. Take care.